Welcome back to LUTI tonight. My name is Rocket, and joining me is the one and only Weef. And today we have a doozy of a Div 5 match for you.
Yeah, we're going in with Bad Guys versus Worm Regards, and if I'm looking here correctly, Worm Regards went. Hold on. Yeah, Worm Regards went 5-1. Hold on, I got this mixed up. They went 4-1, and then Bad Guys went 5-0 in their LUTI groups, playing here in this first playoff match for them. Super, super exciting and hopefully really competitive.
Yes, and like you mentioned, both teams' first playoff match, as this is going to be their makeup, and the winner of this matchup will move on to face Pringle Cat. And the only reason I know of Pringle Cat is I believe they've placed pretty well in the previous lowing there, so definitely a team that is going to be dangerous for any of these teams whoever makes it out of here.
Oh
But
no!
before we get into things here, you did see that the map we're going to be loading into is Barnacle and Dime zones here, but at least taking a look at the seeding in terms of how these teams were expected to place. I mean, Warm Regards, one of the top teams in Division 5 on the other side of Bad Guys. Also another I want to mention as well, it just came to mind, another team I've seen often in low ink.
I haven't been paying too much attention to the scene lately, so I can't say I've heard of either of these teams. I will say I really like Bad Guys' little mute icon there. It's top tier. But yeah, Worm Regards was kind of top seeded in their group, but they did get taken down by This Is Fine, who they would face again eventually if they proceeded through the bracket. But maybe like you're saying, Pringle Cat placed really well in the recent low ink, so whoever wins this one, they might be feeling a little bit nervous for next week.
For sure. And this is really trying to just set the pace of things. And LUTI playoffs are an entire different thing in compared to groups. This is where the top of the top teams come out and show up. These are the best of the best, the teams that went 5-0, the teams that went 4-1, the teams that fought hard and really dominated the rest of these other teams. This is where things get truly extreme and really show the endurance of these players as well. Now they've played already 5 different other teams at the very least. This is their time to shine and kind of show themselves why they are the best of the best in terms of their division, and maybe even prove why they shouldn't even belong in this division to begin with, in terms of maybe being better and trying to prove themselves, kind of build up that branding and make a name for themselves in the scene.
Yeah, of course, the wise words of someone, if you think your seating is wrong, just prove the seater is wrong. But I believe here, I woke up this morning with a fever, so I'm feeling kind of weird, but it's okay. I'm doing great. My voice is a little bit off, and my brain is a little bit scrambled, but that's fine. Like 100%, even if you're feeling super strong coming in from those groups, you can go 5-0. You can't you can only drop 1 game or even 0 games in the entirety of your group matches. But sometimes your opponents in playoffs are just stronger, and versus your groups where you might have a bit more of mixed skill levels. So it's always much more competitive. It's always so much more tense because in groups, if you lose one, it's not too big of a deal. You still have a chance. If you lose in these playoffs, you're out. It's it for the season. It's single elimination. You don't have a second chance, and I love the stakes of it. It always makes for some really interesting matches.
For sure. And speaking of which, in terms of our map pool here, it is best of 9, as we all know by now by LUTI standards. So it's first to 5. First map mode being Splat Zones, Barnacle, and Dime. I always love this map in Splatoon. It's competitive. It's always one of the top 2, I feel like, zone maps that really come to mind, that and Hacklefish Market as the top 2. I love Barnacle and Dime, though, just for the flat lands, just the amount of space teams are really able to work with, but given that land obviously leads to a lot more backlines. We see typically more pens, maybe some edits, maybe I've seen some teams even run Nautilus as well, and just really giving strength to those backlines, really trying to hold the plat positions. Those are so key on this map.
Yeah, for sure. It is nice. There is like a slight flank option on Barnacles versus a lot of the other maps that we see, but it's still balanced enough. Sometimes especially in Splatoon 2 or Splatoon 1, where there's matches, there's just so many flanks where you can kind of feel overwhelmed through backline. It feels nice and healthy. Like I said, still a lot of backline options, but you still see other stuff. It's not completely dominated, which is why it's one of the top map picks.
For sure. And taking a look at Worm Regards, if they're Sendu is anything to be believed, they have 2 sword players, a brush player, and a bow player. That is a
Interesting.
very interesting comp.
I love seeing Bo. You never see Bo at past a certain level except for a few very specific players, and it's always just so much fun. Of course, the trick shot potential, but also just area denial. It's just such a fun backline to watch versus some of the other ones can be a bit less exciting.
For sure. And we're just gonna jump straight into things actually here. Game one, Warm Regards versus Bad Guys. Let's
I
see
do
if
see that
Bad.
badge on them. We do see the bow.
Oh, what a comp there. I mean, Sendu apparently didn't lie here, and what a comp that we see coming out from Warm Regards. Double sword, like I mentioned, the brush and the bow. The interesting thing about this is, I mean, you might want to you might struggle with pain a little bit if you're running this type of comp weave, but on the other side, you do see a pen, a stamper, and even a roller dualies combo. So that crab could be really, really good for Bad Guys.
Yeah, I mean, the paint could be bad, but the other side isn't pumping out too much themselves, so it's pretty even, it seems, in that regard. We do see Warm Regards coming out the gate. They are on the back foot right now. They are being pushed back into their own kind of area back there, but they do have specials, two specials coming out. Both whale, one got popped, and you see that crab set up. That's just going to be so much good area denial.
Yeah, taking these stacks really, really important, and trying to hold your own stack is always going to be the key to winning Barnacle and Dime here. You have Silver on the Stamper, just trying to see if they can find any opening to go in with. You do have the Zipcaster, however, with now the brush going down on the side of Warm Regards, Bad Guys are just continuously holding here, continuing that snowball, continuously getting these players staggered out, and just Warm Regards, not really a lot of space to work with here, and that's kind of the weakness of their comp.
Yeah, they're playing very patient, which isn't something you'd expect from first glance from this range of weapons that they have. They do start to get the picks. That Stamper is down, or the Roller is down, and the specials are going up. We have like 5 ticks left on the clock. It is super, super close. 3 ticks left. Nobody's on the zone. That's going to be Bad Guys taking a really decisive game one.
Yeah, and Warm Regards, the unusual comp here, doesn't typically lead yourself over to retakes, lead yourself over to zone maps, and Bad Guys was really able to kind of take advantage of that. It almost seemed like taking a look at both sides, both comps. It was really whoever was able to take control of the zone first would be able to kind of snowball out of control, and that is exactly what Bad Guys did. I mean, you have the dualies and pen to really paint in. On the other side, I mean, really the only painting weapon you could consider maybe the wiper, maybe the bow, but I mean, those are not weapons you typically think of as your first painters here. But I mean, we don't play 9 games of Splat Zones for a reason. There's a reason why there's a variety of game modes kind of being mixed in here. So maybe their comp will work much better on a different game mode. And speaking of which, we'll be moving over to Undertow Spillway's Rainmaker.
I do remember when I used to play a little bit of bow, I did like Undertow a lot because it's got a lot of curvature you can really play around. That snipe is a good position to hold, but we'll see if they agree as we get onto it. Rainmaker, once again, that more aggressive mode. If they get that first hold, they probably could get a good push going, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how you think this match is going to go.
It's very interesting, this map. I mean, if you take a look at what what Warm Regards has in terms of their weapons, I mean, they have a lot of fighting ability, and that's kind of what you're banking on. They have a lot of chipping weapons. You have the bow. That's kind of the main purpose of the bow, maybe just to leave these players on the side of Bad Guys a little uncomfortable, maybe weaken them up a little bit to have either your wiper, stamper, or brush kind of get in. The brush can kind of just do brush things, just get around these flanks, and really that's just what you want to happen. You need to get these fights out. It's really just a matter of Warm Regards trying to play the more fighty style, trying to win by eliminating the other team, and Bad Guys kind of just winning more traditionally by just trying to keep space. So really it's just up to whoever is able to kind of play to their own win condition.
Yeah, for sure. We do definitely see Bad Guys having a more traditional comp. They still had some picks where, like, I mean, a year ago you would never think you would see like the dualies and the roller and all those other weapons that they brought. The pen is kind of the ever-present standard. Less so lately, but a little bit more balance there, but is low level. I mean, it's so much more forgiving in terms of comps, and your opponents are much less experienced, generally, with fighting just weird, quirky comps with, like, odd win conditions that you can have a little bit more leeway. So if they're able to get, like you said, get those win conditions under their belt, 100% it could succeed. It's why I love watching low-level commentating low-level, is because you just get to see the weirdest stuff, and somehow they make it work, and it's great.
I mean, yeah, that's just, I mean, Warm Regards are here for a reason. This comp has worked before in groups.
Yeah.
It's the reason why they're here. I mean, this isn't just some random group match. They are here in playoffs, and taking a look at, I mean, take a look at, I believe Ambird is the bow player. You mentioned yourself, if you played a little bit of bow as well. What would you say to maybe Wallstring being pulled out instead of the traditional bow?
Well, I kind of stopped playing comp at around the time that Wellstring came out. I do know that it's considered a stronger pick, and I've heard it's really good on Rainmaker, but that area denial on Wellstring is just, it pumps it up to 10. So we might see it out there. I don't see it on their badge. I'm not sure if it was on their Sinnoh, and they do opt to go with the same comp there, and we'll see bad guys. I believe that's the same as well. No, they don't have a dualies anymore.
Yeah, instead switching out the
E-leader.
pen. Yeah, it's switching out the pen and the dualies for now. An E-leader and Zap still being able to keep that cooler, but now that E-leader to be deadly. Both sides actually lose a player right off the get-go. One on the side of Warm Regards being their brush, the others being the roller on the side of bad guys here. You have Silver taking this very aggressive left side position, trying to camp these ledges, kind of doing what Splatanas love to do, and just being able to see if they can find an opening pick with Sakura, trying to flank around as well, but nice vertical flick from that roller. Will get traded out, yes, but Warm Regards now with the advance, and hopefully seeing if they can get to that first checkpoint to strike first.
Yeah, the big difference there was these guys are taking really good. Oh, unfortunate. They're taking really good team fights and we're like fighting together and being just more aggressive, playing to the strengths of their comp. We'll see if they're able to get this pop here. We do see the Kraken being popped out, and it looks like Silver and a few of the other players are opting to back up a little bit and fight another day. Well, except for the Brush, who is going to do what Brushes do best. They get a double. Is it going to be a triple? It's going to be a triple, and that's a wipeout. Looks like they're definitely going to get this check. Yeah, they got it just in time.
Just in time, too. I feel like that Brush was actually trying to run over the player there as well, but just settles
awesome.
for the triple. Yeah, we'll take that any day of the week. Now you have April on this right side, almost with a stamp. Could prove to be a very deadly flank if played correctly here. You have Amber slowly but surely moving up the Rainmaker. The points after the checkpoint are so valuable here. Now leading up to this goal, the potential way to get up there, just not enough ink to get up there, just barely.
And we can't see past the hammer.
Yeah, you had 3 players of Warm Regards just around them, but no one really able to pay attention to paint up that pedestal, so bad guys live to fight another day, but what a lead that has been taken by Warm Regards.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, pretty much, it's a few points away from being the highest possible lead you can get without the game just ending. And that's a really high steep slope, that was a tongue twister. Oh, really fun trade there. Steep slope to climb for bad guys, but it's possible, it's Rainmaker, anything can happen, especially after that first checkpoint is broken.
For sure, you have Silver yet again taking this left side flank with Torch just on this roller. Has Bubble available as well. Rainmaker moving its way left again. Warm Regards, despite having this very significant lead, do not tend on stopping here. Sakura has been so good on this brush, kind of just been left to their own devices, just tormenting the flanks of bad guys. However, the Rainmaker is dropped here. Goatchild with that Kraken will at least create some space, and now giving the jumps for the rest of bad guys. So far, basically half the match has been played, and bad guys have yet to been able to get to Warm Regards' side of the map.
Yeah, no, not even a single point on the board, which 2 minutes and 30 seconds is generally not too good, but like I said, so much time, 2.5 minutes is a lot. Hammer does get a pick over there, and we're going to see the Rainmaker reset. Hammer throw goes out, picks get down. Looks like Warm Regards is kind of moving in yet again.
Yeah, continuously just trying to keep up the pressure. I do like it. You just have to be careful of not to over-aggress, because points can go fast in Rainmaker here. Things can change very deadly. Goatchild on that Kraken, just barely unable to get that Rainmaker finally with the last hurrah, being able to take out that Rainmaker carrier. And now Warm Regards in a 2-player down situation. You have Sakura flanking on this right side. Torch might smell something here, but Sakura unable to actually get that pick. Now Founds, unfortunately, unable to really get much there, but will at least have and draw attention from bad guys, as they have been unable to really move up there. The 1-for-1 trade will be had, but bad guys still losing players, and as time continues to tick here, Warm Regards can really just play the patient game.
I mean, yeah, what a far cry from the last game, right? It's basically, I mean, the shoe's on the opposite foot here. We see exactly what Bad Guys was doing to Warm Regards before, except it's just happening in reverse. They're just not able to leave their base at all. They're just keeping up the pressure super well. All of their specials aren't properly getting utilized. They're just not able to get the value off of them that they should, and so they're gonna be able to push again. It looks like the Kraken might take them down, but they still get to push super far. I mean, if you're pushing, the enemy isn't, so I mean, their strategy is definitely working so far.
Continuously keeping the pressure. Warm Regards just really have to sit back and relax here, bad guys. With a minute left, now you gotta be feeling the pressure, because at the very least, you need to get that checkpoint first. That checkpoint is going to be a natural chokehold for Warm Regards to kind of recollect themselves on as well. So not only do you have to fight through mid, this grueling mid, you have to worry about any of the Warm Regard players just kind of poking up out of nowhere, because 3 out of the 4 players could do so, such as Silver on this flank, who will be able to take out Goatchild on that flank, taking out that Rainmaker carrier, now stalling out the push even further. 30 seconds remain, and 30 seconds left for Warm Regards to get Warm Regards to kind of just sit down and relax.
Yeah, I mean, they could get a push off at this point, but it is pretty difficult. I mean, then you get into Rainmaker overtime, which is always just brutal. But yeah, just keep on doing the pressure. Their special use is really good. They're just popping them out so consistently. They're getting the consistent pressure that's really helped them achieve that. Is just the hammers coming out and the whales coming out and the zipcasters coming out, just constantly keeping them on their toes, constantly getting 1 pick, 2 picks, just to the point where they're not able to get it, and that's a game.
Really nicely done there. A nice bounce back from Warm Regards. And hey, I mentioned it at the end of game 1. Maybe Zones isn't their type of game mode, but I mean, Rainmaker might be there. 96-0. Not only basically putting it to a knockdown situation, but not allowing your opponents to get any score on the board pretty much. That is impressive there from Warm Regards. And I mentioned it at the beginning of this, kind of the beginning of this game too as well. These teams just really have to kind of play to how they're naturally wanting to play. And you saw Sakura kind of open things up with the triple on the brush here, right on your screen there, taking out 3 players. And that basically opened things wide open, led to that wipeout, led to that goal here. And if a little bit of more paint was on the tower, on the podium there, might have been able to get a knockout. But I mean, it didn't really matter in the end as Warm Regards just kept the foot pedal to the metal pretty much. I'm just losing my mind over acronyms. Basically just keeping up the pressure, really leaving bad guys no room to operate.
Yeah, so we've seen the polar opposite matches where each team is in their strong suit, or so is what we've seen so far. But just based on these 2 matches, I have genuinely no idea how this set is going to go. It's been competitive so far, but not in the way that you usually see it, where both teams are constantly scoring and keep each other on their toes. We've just seen the polar opposite. I'm really excited to see how they play these other 2 game modes. Clan Blitz especially is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and I kind of think that Undertow Spillway kind of leaned itself towards Warm Regards because, I mean, like I mentioned, Sakura managed to open things up with those 3 picks, but the key part about that, basically from start from finish, we didn't really see Warm Regards have to try to retake anything. I mean, they had mid control basically the entire time. Bad guys were constantly on the back foot, basically near their spawn, trying to find a way in. And with all that space, that really benefits Warm Regards players the most. You have Silver on the stamp, you have Sakura on the brush, you have the Wiper, really being able to kind of move around, just kind of take fights here, easy escape options. And I mean, that was the complete opposite from how game 1 played out. Warm Regards constantly put on the back foot by bad guys here. So now game 3 with Clan Blitz Umami, kind of like you mentioned, it's a little mix of both here because you want to have strong paint control, but obviously Umami is probably the most, or not Umami, Clan Blitz is probably the most volatile game mode in Splatoon 3.
Yeah, I mean, it does take a second to get the momentum for a push, but it can go back and forth pretty quickly, like you said. I can kind of leaning towards bad guys taking this one just because I feel like, what's it called? The map that we're about to go on to, Umami, plays a little bit more similar to Barnacle than Undertow, where Undertow is a lot more sneaky. You have those 2 divided sections of the map. There's lots of terrain. I don't know. It just feels a little bit more open, a little bit more backline favored. I feel like that pencil might have, or whatever they decide to bring out might have a bit of a better time. It might also have been, in terms of bad guys, they might have just not been as confident on E-Leader as they were on Pencil, or on the Zap as they were on Dualies. So there's so many variables that are going into this, and I have no idea how this is going to end.
For sure here. Still going with this very unusual comp is Warm Regards. On the side of bad guys, do they change it up? They change up a lot of things here. You see the Paintbrush, a decap, and a Slosher now. Goatchild returning to that pen, and I have a lot of things to say about Paintbrush, a lot bad, but I'll leave that to myself because this weapon is very, very powerful in the right hands and can be a very big challenge for the sword players, especially the brush as well, to really try to fight it.
Pretty even mid so far. Bad guys have a slight edge here, but if we see some picks here, yeah, like that Paintbrush gets taken out, it's still anyone's game at this point. We have a pretty strong special advantage, or at least we did, from Warm Regards until their bow went down. Wiper goes down. It looks like bad guys might be able to start getting something going here. Oh, with that bubble, 100%.
Yeah, you have the trip strikes as well, and actually two balls make its
Oh,
way into the
nice.
barrier there. Goat Child now positioning themselves well on this little tower here, kind of just giving bad guys these jumps. You see Sakura just trying to see if they can find a pick. Three will be found in the favor of Warm Regards, but still a big lead yet again to start off things. Bad guys this time actually now being able to kind of set the pace here. These teams have been able to kind of take punches, kind of pull, just going back and forth with this Tomato here, managing to find one as well. Paintbrush there, getting another, and the push might not be over, Weef, as bad guys might continue to keep this ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, they're seeing the dog in them that we saw in that first match where they're just not letting Warmer Guards get out of their spawn. And as we see the tri-strikes go back in, just the pressure continues and continues. Still have that ball up. Not going to be immediately going back in for a push, but they still have mid advantage.
Yeah, you have Goat Child with that hammer. April throwing that hammer, just trying to see if they can get anything going here. Warmregard's finally in control of mid here. Can they get something going here? You're trying to look for that opening pick because that is the bread and butter of how they love to play here. You do have that Pity Clam as well waiting here. Maybe on the left side here, that Viper does go down. We'll trade out with Goat Child on that pen here, but still both teams trying to fill each other out. Now Sakura goes down to a bomb. Torch being able to pick up the ball from bad guys here. That push might have stalled out a little bit here as they are almost to a bubble, and Trip Strike's actually available now for bad guys as well to potentially retake this mid.
Yes, but we have seen the critical tipping point of Wormregard's got in. That seems to be their biggest challenge, is getting in. Now that they're in, we'll see how hard they are to push out. Is it going to be more like last game, or, I mean, well, that those picks are looking really good for them. Of course, the paintbrush getting another. It looks like this, the mid-control days might be over yet.
Yeah, bad guys. Strong hold and strong retake here, still with the only points on the board. They don't really have to do anything risky here. Tomato still has control of that ball, and actually two balls in total on the side of bad guys here. Yet again, threatening another push. They do go down to April on that Viper here. Goat Child will take actually the evening pick onto Amber here. You see April going in with this hammer, seeing if they can get anything going here. Managing to find two with that hammer throw. Really nicely aimed there as the perfect moment for Torch and Goat Child to go in together. Unfortunately led to their demise, and now that could be the tipping point for Warm Regards to go in.
Yeah, unfortunately that Stamper wasn't able to get too much value off of that Zipcaster, but they do have some more specials coming out, more pressure going on, and plenty of clams to work with if they start to get a push going through. They do have that whale, they do have a hammer going in, but it all gets taken down, and it looks like Bad Guy's defense is just on lock here.
Unlock indeed, and that didn't really take long for bad guys to get in. You have that decav bubble right up in mid, really being able to try to take control of top mid. However, two members of Warm Regards are on this left side. Silver taking that one-on-one with Torch, forcing the jump out, yes, but still, pressure is on Warm Regards to make that move here. Nearing that minute mark, you do have a ball in your possession, but you don't really have enough paint to really get into it, which seems to be the recurring theme with them as well. As if they're not able to get maybe one or two players down on the other side, they're really unable to try to get in.
Yeah, I mean, we do see them just kind of going for this last-ditch effort here. Clemwood's overtime is never a situation you want to be in, and they do get down to 60 points really, like, in the blink of an eye. They don't have the clams to follow it up with, but even that just means that they're going to have a much easier time. If they're able to get one more clam in, they are not, but they still have mid, and, like, I mean, they were able to be pushed up pretty easy earlier, but maybe this time it'll be different. They do already have some balls at the ready if they want to go for another push here, which they're going to have to if they want to take this game.
There is still a possibility here for Warm Regards to get back into it. You still have the Pity as well as another ball in your possession right now. All it takes is one opening to really get in. With basically all your specials online now being invested, you saw the whales, the Zipcaster does go out as well. Hammer is also available, but Brush goes go down on that right side. Sakura goes down now. 8 seconds left, pretty much left on the board. Overtime will happen, yes, but will there be an opening pick? That might be the moment right there. The decav does go down early, so bad guys now down a player, down some specials as well. Now as the trip strikes being invested here, as Silver tries to be that spearhead without a pit ball, you can really just try to go in. However, Warm Regards does lose 2 players here. That might be the end of the push as Tomato kind of sets themselves up on the very annoying position on that snipe. Paintbrush just being able to rain down paint from above. Really not anything Warm Regards can really do to get in there, and that will be game 3.
There's no desperation like Clam Blitz overtime desperation. You see the most desperate, like, not like rushed plays of your life in Clan Blitz overtime, just because it is so tense. You have 20 seconds to make it, sometimes from your own basket to the enemy basket. And so if we saw this game last another 30 seconds, I fully believe that Warmer Guards would have been able to kind of complete that push and actually get something going there. But because of that, the sheer pressure that they were put under, they just weren't quite able to do it. They made some rush decisions, and I mean, I don't blame them at all.
Yeah, and we've seen now through 3 games, the team who really sets the pace at the beginning usually just wins at the end, and we haven't really seen much comebacks from either team in terms of that. So really, it's kind of just boils down maybe to the first minute or two of these matches, I mean, because like whoever wins that, very nice hammer throw right there.
That was such a good hammer throw.
Yeah, it really opened things up for Warmer Guards, yes, but just unfortunately unable to kind of benefit from that, as you saw that snipe area on the right side. If you just settle your paintbrush up there, really you're just basically pushing into an entire wave of purple ink right here. You had Tomato right here on the left side. Really, those last 2 players couldn't really get anything going there, and that's the main concern yet again for Warmer Guards. We saw it in game 1, yet again on game 3. They didn't really have any special to try to initiate things. You really just have to go in and go get those picks if you're a Warmer Guards, but bad guys can really just sit back and relax.
Yeah. I will say that was a much more individually competitive game. It's a very competitive set so far, but, I mean, with our first 2 games, there's just one team dominating or the other. That one we saw some back and forth, which I always like to see because it's a little bit more exciting. But I hope we see that continue throughout the rest of the set. As for tower control, plays a little bit more like Rainmaker, a little bit more like Clan Blitz, but it's still its own game mode, and we still haven't seen it yet, so who knows who's going to be the dominant force in this one.
Yes, tower control. Thinking of these weapons that we've at least seen so far. I mean, bad guys has very much changed their comp basically every single round. Now, Warmer Guards basically sticking firm with that double sword brush here, and my main concern, at least for tower control, is going to be range in terms of trying to deny that tower. I mean, basically 3 of those 4 weapons that Warmer Guards runs is basically just, okay, well, I'm just going to get up right to the tower and you can't stand on it. But what about dealing with something, say, as like an edit, maybe a midline such as a blaster or slosher? We haven't seen a blaster, but we have seen a slosher that was brought up by bad guys there, and that can prove really, really dangerous to Warmer Guards trying to push up and trying to create space for that tower.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think also just the aspect of them changing their comp up, it does make it a little bit more hard to fight, because you don't know, it's a little bit more volatile. You're changing map, you're changing modes, and you're changing the comp that you're fighting. You're basically fighting a whole new team with some of the same habits that have carried over, so it's not necessarily, like, you're not in your comfort zone at all, versus, bad guys is kind of able to anticipate how Warmer Guards is going to act, because they know they're going to stick with the same thing every time. They know the weaknesses, they know how to fight it, and it seems like they may be on their way to finding a pretty solid counterplay.
For sure, and kind of adding on to what I was saying earlier, with this next map being ship-shape tower, I mean, you really have a lot of space to have to cover when that distance between the first and the second checkpoint. I believe if it is the longest distance between any checkpoints within any tower control map, so you really have to constantly stagger bad guys if you are on the side of Warmer Guards. We do see yet another switch. We do see Zimmy and Carbon Roller this time, yet again proving to be potentially another matchup problem for Warmer Guards, having to deal with Torch on the Carbon.
I always love seeing a Zimmy win, and I also love seeing Carbons, because the sneaky plays. I mean, we have 2 sneaky weapons against each other. We have Brush, and we have the Carbon. So now we'll see how that goes. It does get them off to a good start, although they do immediately get punished, and it looks like Warmer Guards is going to take that first little push. I mean, they only push at 1 point, but they are on the up and up briefly. I don't think it's there much longer.
Yeah, for sure. Now moving up here is bad guys with that quick lead change there. Still yet to get that first checkpoint, but that bubble could help coming out for that Zimmy. And actually 3 players in total for Warmer Guards falling now just left to Sakura on that brush, and this is the main concern for Warmer Guards now on the back foot. What can you do here? This has been your struggle throughout the entire set. Can you get those evening picks? The Zuka now being invested as well. You do get the pick onto the Zimmy, which is a huge pick, but now you see Silver on this left side just trying to poke away at that Carbon here, Pen, just a very, very difficult weapon to deal with if you're any of the members of Warm Regards besides that bow. You do see the Whale now being invested as well as the Zipcaster. These are the type of weapons or type of specials that will need to be used if you're on the side of Warm Regards to kind of get in. Zipcast actually now being popped here to try to get that Trip Strike out of the commission.
Yeah, I mean, we do have 3 down at this point, so, like, I mean, this is at the point where it starts to go from hard to push into where the game's kind of playing itself. This last little bit is very snowbally. It's a classic tower control snowball of it's very awkward to defend. And once they break that check, which they just barely don't break it, it's kind of, you know, all uphill from there, all downhill from there. But just constant picks out, but it looks like, I mean, Badger's guys just keeping up the momentum. They're not letting themselves slow down at all.
Sure, here continuously trying to snowball this. That's how TC is sometimes played and sometimes how it goes. You do see Silver managing to kind of get that win on that fight down there, forcing the jump out, but still the tower is unfortunately dies to a bomb there. Torch with the Zuka on the left side. I was saying the tower was making its way back into mid, but now being picked up by bad guys yet again. You do have the Slosher's Trip Strikes as well to invest. Sakura left on an island there with that bridge, kind of being stuck down there against several members, managing to actually get out of that with a trade. Unfortunately, does finally go down, and now this second checkpoint is so dangerous to get through. Torch with a key pick there onto the Stamper here. The Trip Strikes now being invested. Zuka also available as well. If they're able to get past the second checkpoint, they could continuously snowball. Torch in a great position now as well on this right side.
Yeah, the Carbon there, that is lethal. It is going to be so difficult to get them out, especially with on the right side. They're just cornered in their own base right now. They can't get out. We have about 5 points left on the check. They are stalled briefly, but I mean, they're still in such a solid position. Swatling's doing what the Swatling does best, and there we go.
And kind of like you mentioned there, we saw the Carbon not only cause its damage on that right side, being able to pop Zuka and maybe just trying to just delay Warm Regards retakes, they were able to kind of take that position, threaten that, jump right back onto the tower, and get 2 clean picks at the very end there, as Warm Regards were kind of desperate to just try to jump onto the tower to stall it out. And Warm Regards now with a 3-1 lead, looking very, very promising here. And now you kind of break the back and forward kind of matchup that we've seen so far, and we go back to zones now. Which, if any odds tell us anything, I mean, zones went pretty well for bad guys last time.
Yeah, I can't quite remember the map. I mean, we'll see it in a second. But yeah, like, once Warm Regards gets in, they just don't let up. Except for, you know, our exception there in game 2. Maybe there'll be an exception again this time, but we're going to have Haggle, which is going to be really powerful for that sniper player. Regardless of if they go E-liter or pencil or something else entirely, we could see, because they're just pulling out weapons left and right. I mean, that's a very strong backline map right there.
Yes, and the map that we are thinking of, it's Hagglefish Market Zones. Now, compared to Barnacle and Dime, yes, there still are those flanks on the left and right side. However, I believe they are, I wouldn't say like a lot more difficult. They are still more difficult to take the flanks on Hagglefish compared to Barnacle and Dime, I would say, considering how the zone is smaller. They are more predictable on the left and right side, and there's really not really a lot of space to kind of work with on those flanks, as well as really Hagglefish Market. When I first think of that, you really need paint. I mean, obviously zones need paint, duh. And I'm gonna keep saying this. I know I don't mean to beat a dead horse, and I know Warm Regards is probably sick of me saying this right now, but when do you think that you might need to change things up a little bit here in terms of paint? Because my main concern is brush, double sword is gonna be really, really hard to fight against what bad guys had. Last time, if I remember correctly, they had a pen and they had dualies. And what do dualies have? Crab. And what can you deal with? How do you deal with that crab? If what Warm Regards have been running, really nothing. So you need to find a counter here.
Yeah, I mean, there are advantages to having the same comp the entire time, even if it's a really not gimmicky, but just a more niche comp like Warm Regards has. You can really build around the synergies. If you find your winning conditions and the situations that you really like, it can be really good. But on the other hand, you can get situations like this where you're fighting against a team who's constantly changing, is able to find your counter, is able to kind of tailor what they're playing to each individual game, map mode, the situation in general. You can kind of get into a sticky situation. So I see both sides of the argument there, but yeah, it is a little bit rough. It's pretty likely. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if these players are one-tricks of all these weapons and they're buddies or whatever, and they don't really want to change things up. But there is also the unfortunate reality that sometimes it just doesn't work out a whole lot.
For sure. You're really banking on, I believe, okay, they will be staying with the same weapons here. For the side of Warm Regards, I can kind of see the argument of maybe the Zipcaster can go in and try to disorientate things. However, we do see on the other side, Torch will stay with that Carbon, and instead Blaster, yet again, still staying on that Zimmy. You still have those two painters in Goatchild and Blaster, and that midline presence on that Slosher that's going to make it really hard for Warm Regards to try to advance here. But, I mean, we saw it in Game 2. Let's see if they can repeat some magic here, because they desperately need a win now, being down 3-1.
Hey, I mean, I did mention that it doesn't work out, but I mean, right now they're making it work. They do have that first cap. Looks like the Brush is going to go on a flank. They're all 4 members up. They have specials, and they're going in. So, I mean, we are talking about how this set just seems to be whoever takes first just keeps on going, and Warm Regards is very solidly taking this first push.
Yeah, actually managing to take that paint in a very impressive fashion that, like you mentioned, is surprising me regardless, and already down to the 60-point mark despite not really having some maybe traditional painters here. You just have this bow kind of working overtime to really paint over that zone, trying to get the rest of the members of Warm Regards in. Unfortunately, does fall to Azuka, and that will lead to the zone being flipped, but however, on the side of Bad Guys, they do lose 2 players. Torch taking that left side fight, actually loses that fight, and now is just left to Goatchild here. A great opportunity for Warm Regards, just shutting me up completely, being able to take control of this zone, and now setting themselves up well.
Nice safe spot, like a classic spot for that Stamper. So, well, they do go down. And that is going to be them being pushed out, but I mean, the timer is still ticking. They do still have that bow up. The bow is hopefully, well, they're hopefully going to want to try to take a little bit more defensive position there. But they're already down to 50 points. They do have to take that retake now, which has always been kind of in the set what's been a little bit trickier for them. But we've seen some good stuff for them so far.
Good stuff indeed, but this has been where they struggle. They need to get in some type of retake here. You need to get kills from your specials. You do have a hammer. You do have the whale, I believe, as well available for you. Torch with that Zuka, just trying to see if they can poke out anything here. The lead will be taken by Bad Guys, and now time is ticking down for Warm Regards to try to get in. You do see the play on that left side from Sakura is taken out. Will take that trade, though. Silver just trying to go in with their Zipcaster. April's hammer won't quite find anything here. Bubble will be placed, yes, but Zimmy does go down here. Just trying to paint over the zone here. Down to the 20 tick mark. Things need to go soon here for Warm Regards.
Yeah, you see him kind of staggering here a little bit. I mean, we did see those 2 swords going, and they do somehow cap the zone. I didn't quite see how that happened, but it did, and good for them, because that buys them a ton of time to be able to get back in, even if it doesn't immediately, yeah, even if Bad Guys does retake it, that penalty point is pretty huge for them. But now we're seeing them put on the pressure again. Looks like the sword is going to go for, if not a flank, just at least an off angle. They almost have that hammer ready. We have a lot of specials ready on the side of Warm Regards that we hopefully will see them take to their advantage to hopefully get another big push in.
Yeah, and now penalty points go pretty fast here. Only 30 penalty points really to kind of work out with. Excuse me, but Warm Regards still going in here, just trying to see if they can hold on desperately. They cannot afford to give any ground. April just trying to lurk on this left side. Will spot out the bucket, but unfortunately does go down here. Just on this right side is so annoying to deal with this bucket here, drawing some attention. You do have as well the Carbon Zuka now being invested. I believe taking out the brush there on Sakura there, and still with strong control at mid. Now Bad Guys, just time ticking down. No more penalty to worry about. Basically now Warm Regards have to throw themselves onto the point here. The Trip Strikes will go out, just left to the bow to really just try to paint over this. 10 seconds left. Really just the bow versus the pen here, just trying to desperately paint over the zone. Jumps are coming in left, right, and center. A pick will be had onto Goatchild, who does explode into the zone, which will add that paint, but still neither side has been able to continuously hold this zone, eventually going to Bad Guys here, and that will be the game there. Game 6? No, 5. Sorry, game 5 going to Bad Guys there. And I mean, you kind of think about it at the end there. Yet again, paint kind of hurting them.
Yeah, I mean, that last little bit, though, was really impressive how they were able to hold it out for so long. If, like, one more thing went their way, they would have had another push on their hands, or at least some more time on their hands. But, I mean, that was much more solid than that first zones match that they played. They did get that first good push in. They did retake at some points. Just not, once again, that paint holding them back just a little bit too much for them to handle, but we are going to be going back to Rainmaker, which they took in stride. So at this match point game, we may see it continue just a little bit longer.
Now look, they did a lot better at paying the zone than I thought they would, given their
Yeah.
weapons. I will say that. And there was an opportunity there that I did see. Goatchild did die into the zone, and that did help the paint for Warmer Guards. That is their strength. That is what they needed to do there in order to kind of beat that paint. You need to get these kills. It's just unfortunate that with not a lot of space to really work with, you can't really get those kills. But like you mentioned, game 2 did go into the favor of Warmer Guards, and it was a Rainmaker map. Yet again, we do see Rainmaker Museum here. Any thoughts on this map mode, Leaf?
I like it. It's one of my favorites, actually. My throat hurts so bad. It is one of my favorites. It is a little more backline favorite just because it's super open, but it's fun. I love the jump across. It's fun. But in general, I mean, if they're probably going to go with the bucket again, I feel like Carbon's always a strong choice here because of the ledges. And I mean, you do see a potential for the ledge camping in the swords, but we'll see how it goes. I just, what you're hoping for is they just are able to kind of blitz in, because when they have to hold for a little bit longer, they seem to struggle a bit in terms of Warmer Guards.
Yeah, and on your screen here, you see a little bit of a glimpse over at Splatoon Tourney 1. Spherical Comedy actually up 4-1 against RIT Orange Koi's, a favorite in the CCA community here, actually down in that situation. You do see on your screen there potentially closing out the game here, and they are actually a little bit ahead of us here, but let's see if things can get going here. Just kind of taking a look at this, you do see the strikes going in from RIT Orange Koi's, but this is their like desperate push here that we're seeing on your screen.
Yeah, Rainmaker overtime, baby. It's always tough. Any of the overtime scenarios in this game are tough. I feel like the only one that isn't is like zones because you're not necessarily on a timer. You just have to hold on for enough. But
oof, unfortunate there. You did see the closing out of that. RIT Orange Koi's does fall to Spherical Comedy there, to a 5-1 fashion. Will bad guys do the same? Will they kind of follow into the footsteps of that, close things out in a 5-1, or will Warmer Guards try to stay alive in their comeback attempts? You have to win basically 4 straight games now, still sticking with their same comp. I do love their fight, though, from Warmer Guards to stick with this unusual comp. I've never seen a comp like this, and the fact that they've been able to hold their own against bad guys has been amazing to watch, but have they met their match here? Do you see now an actual regular mini Splatling and decab being pulled out for bad guys?
Yeah. I do. Once again, I love the choice of the mini. And I will also say, in terms of Warmer Guards, it's also impressive that they made it this far. It's just a super fun comp to see, and hopefully they'll have a bit more success in it. However, the blaster over there does get 2 picks and puts, the bow player over here on a bit of a tricky situation. It looks like we might see a checkpoint capture in our future, especially with that bubble.
For sure. Now the Rainmaker moving its way up. Goatchild actually, dodging its way, actually manages to get the Rainmaker pop there onto the checkpoint. Really nicely done by bad guys. And look at the paint on this spinner here. We've so much blue, purple paint, kind of just being able to set the pace for bad guys to kind of move in. Unfortunately, is taken out by that flank onto Sakura, which is a greatly needed kill there just to stall out that push.
And Sakura does not get that second push. However, they did their job. They distracted the enemy team long enough for them to be pushed out of their plat. We do see over there that bucket does go down as well, and so Warmer Guards does have a chance to take mid again. It is going to be difficult. They do get 2 down at this point, but they still have other players to get through, especially that Pen, the Overlord who oversees all of mid. But it's not over yet. That checkpoint's gone, but it's Rainmaker. Anything could happen.
Sure. A lot of pressure, though, now on Warmer Guards to make this more even. April going in with the hammer is able to kind of isolate a bucket, but do they manage to get their way out? No, managing to hit them with a throw. Really nicely done here. However, a trade on the other side will still leave it. Actually, now the trade's going into the favor of Warmer Guards. Now up 2 players. Really able to just trying to move forward here. You do see the bow player, I believe, just with that Rainmaker, unfortunately unable to cross path that Pen. Really nice shots there as Sakura just left on an island, basically, in all of Warmer Guards taken out except the Wiper. Now yet again bad guys operating in mid, and they don't look like to be slowing down at all.
Yeah, they moved in fast there. That's one of the things that's most important, especially in low levels. A lot of low level teams just don't know when to go in on pushes like that, and they just took every single inch of space that they needed to. They popped the bubble to help hold it better. And so, if Warmer Guards is not able to defend this well, this could be a push where they're just able to get more and more points. They do take down that decap, which is a pretty good pick to have. Rainmaker is pretty far back, but they are going to be pushing back forward.
sure, for sure. Almost there to be able to break that Rainmaker. There you go. The Rainmaker shield is broken. Trying to get back this spinner, it has to be priority number 1 for Warmer Guards. Priority number 2, kicking out bad guys from mid. You need to take up this space. You need to get these kills, especially Torch on that decap there. Still sharking, managing to take 1 on that bottom side. Rainmaker now reset here. However, the specials are going out for bad guys to just leave Warmer Guards with really no options as to concede that Rainmaker pop. 2 bad guys here. You do see a little bit of a flank on this right side by Sakura. Will they be able to get anything? At least drawing the attention of bad guys, though. Still doing damage in that regard.
Yeah, and I mean, eventually they do get the 2 down, so they must have been doing something right. We do see over here on the plat that bow is being taken out. It's only the brush left alive. It's kind of, I mean, it's a scrambled, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe the game state right now because everyone is everywhere, but mid isn't taken. Bad guys is all the way back and kind of on their plat or just now advancing in the mid, but there's people on Warmer Guard's plat. It's a weird game right now.
Weird game indeed, but a minute 20 left. Yes, 81 on the board for Warmer Guards, but you need that first checkpoint to start things off. Decaf does have bubble. 2, now 3 go down for Warmer Guards. Bad guys, yet again, have an opportunity to push up to the spinner here. Such an important position that forces Warmer Guard to kind of take another team fight here. Rainmaker will continuously move up, not wasting any time as they move up onto that spinner. Now a minute left. Warmer Guards really need to get this pick onto the Rainmaker carrier. Goat Child, who is the pen on the other side, just continues moving for the flank will be had, yes, but no player on the side of Warmer Guard able to kind of stop this push. Now down to 13. That might have been the final nail in the coffin there. Warmer Guard's now in a very tough spot.
Yeah, and now they'd have to, they're the desperation for this pop, they don't quite get it. Are we going to see a knockout? 1 point left on the clock, ladies and gentlemen, but they're still there. Blaster over here on that mini spotlight getting some picks. 2 and 2 on the board. We do see both that sword and that brush are up. They might be able to get the pop. It probably is a situation where you want to jump it off, but they're not quite able to because they just get picked off before. Brush is trying to push ahead. It's only the sword on the map. They pick it up and that is game, set, and, well, I guess in terms of Warmer Guards, that is unfortunately their last set of this LUTI season.
I mean, but GG's to them. I salute you, Warmer Guards, for a very fun comp that you are running. I mean, I've never basically seen it, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, Weef. This is kind of what lower level loves us, kind of introduces us to see, like, some weapon comps that did work out in Game 1. They didn't get swept. They did get a game in Game 2 there. Really nicely done in that one, but unfortunately just too much to really handle, too much paint to handle. Bad guys get this one in kind of a little bit of a gentleman's sweep there. 5-1 is your final score, and they move on, I believe, to quarterfinals in LUTI there to face against Springlecat, who have been waiting patiently there in round 2 for Division 5. But yeah, again, GG's to both teams, and really nice games played out there. I mean, we saw a lot of just very aggressive plays from Warmer Guards and bad guys to kind of contradict on the other side, just being able to play patiently and to their advantage.
Yeah, and like you really can't touch on enough how cool Warmer Guards' comp is. Like it just has so much aura, man. Like the double sword, the brush is so fun to watch. Bow is always so fun to watch. We saw a lot of good hammer clips in this set, which I always appreciate. But yeah, congratulations to Bad Guys for moving on. And there's something else I wanted to say, but I forgot.
I will use this chance to mention though. Keep an eye on Splatoon Tourney Sunday. LAN championships are happening that day, and we do see on your screen right there the 8 LAN championship teams fighting it out for the inaugural LAN champion showdown here. I might be a little bit of bias because my home state, H-Town Splashdown, Siku got kicked out. Keep an eye out for them. They might be seated lower than you might expect, and they might go further than you may expect, but you do see on your screen there the big 8 LAN champions now fighting it out, and we have a lot of production stuff that actually makes this one special, Weave.
Yeah, we were both commentating in it, and I do have to disagree with you, because I am also biased as the TO of Gamerland. My precious My Little Henlo are going to take it all the way, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, hey, they might be the favorites, but we'll see. I mean, anything can happen. This is the inaugural one, so I mean, I gotta give my hometown team something, but yes, definitely keep an eye out for that. I mean, the fact that multiple streams are going to be happening at the same time, basically every match being covered, is an amazing feat.
It's incredible.
It's amazing. I think Falco mentioned it's similar to NFL Red Zone. I don't know how many Splatoon community people are familiar with sports and that, but it's basically just like I don't know, a wide screen of basically every single match going on at the same time, and then you have on the mainstream analysts just kind of popping in and out, kind of like we popped into Splatoon Tourney 1 there.
Yeah, it's gonna be incredible. So be sure to tune in. Like we're gonna see some really incredible matches because all of these teams are packing heat. All of them have some really talented players on them who had the chance to meet and play in person. There's some a really cool bonding thing in that. So who knows? Anything could happen. Except my little Henlo's gonna win.
For sure. Okay. But with that, I believe we've run out of time today for Splatoon Tourney. But here's a little bit of a preview, I believe, of tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I believe, a little bit of an earlier one, more EU friendly there on your screen right there. We have Silly Pods versus Hook, Line, and Sinker, and Regalia versus I Love Latina Sonic. But with that, that will be it for us. Weef, where can the people find you online?
Well, you can find me chugging NyQuil and drinking hot tea in hopes of my voice recovering for Sunday, and also for work tomorrow, also important. But you can also find me on Twitter and Blue Sky, pretty much any socials at WeefSlider. Rocket, where can the wonderful people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Rocket1 on Blue Sky. You can find me at Rocket Splat on Twitch. I'm trying to get that going. I know I've been saying that since forever, but trust me, almost done with that. And like we've kind of mentioned, you'll see us both on the LAN Championship streams to Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific, I believe 7 p.m. Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. If that sounds right. Yeah, I think that sounds right. But with that, I think that'll be it for us here at Splatoon Tourney. But yeah, hopefully you guys have a great, wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next time.